A billionaire walked into the wrong bathroom with no toilet paper, and what Kayla did next will leave you stunned. But before we jump in, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. Enjoy the story. Kayla Monroe, 26, rushed into the women's restroom at the bustling Asteria Hall in Crescent Bay. She had exactly 5 minutes before her friend Tessa showed up and was mentally cursing herself for drinking 2 sodas back-to-back. While fixing her curls in front of the mirror, she heard an odd sound from one of the stalls nearby. "Hey, could you hand me some toilet paper?" a male voice said. Kayla blinked, frozen in place. "Wait, what?" She looked around, genuinely confused, as if the restroom had magically converted into a men's room without warning. "Hello? The paper ran out in here. Can you pass me some?" She cleared her throat. "You do realize you're in the women's restroom, right?" There was a short pause. "Yeah, just figure that out. And that doesn't bother you?" "What bothers me is not having toilet paper." Kayla smirked. "So barging into the wrong bathroom is fine. But that's your biggest concern? Priorities, much? Look, I'm already embarrassed enough. Just pass me the paper, please." She crossed her arms, despite knowing he couldn't see her. No. On the other side, she heard an exaggerated sigh. "Seriously? What do you mean, no?" "Exactly what it sounds like. Why would I help some stranger who waltzed into the ladies' room like he owns the place?" "Stranger?" he scoffed. "Ma'am, I'm not asking for a background check. Just toilet paper." She let out a laugh. "Maybe this is the universe teaching you a lesson. You need some time in there to reflect on your life choices." "You're giving me a moral lecture while I'm trapped in here?" Kayla giggled. "I'd call it more of a social experiment." Silence. Then a deep breath and a tired voice. "Okay, how about a deal? You give me the paper, I'll give you a VIP ticket to Dylan Rivers' concert." She raised an eyebrow. "Excuse me, a VIP ticket, with backstage access. But only if you help me now." She tilted her head. "Wow, emotional blackmail? Absolutely. At least you're honest. That earns you 1 point." She paused. "And how do I know the ticket is real?" "Because I'm desperate." Kayla bit back a laugh. Still not convinced. "Ma'am, for the love of all that's holy." She heard the crumpling of paper. Seconds later, a ticket slid under the stall door. She crouched down, picked it up, and examined it. "Looks legit." "Because it is." "Now please, paper." She tore a few sheets off the roll and slid them under the door. "Here you go, your highness of desperation." "Thank you," he muttered. "Now, can you do me one more favor?" "What now? Can you leave first?" "Please." Kayla raised an eyebrow. "Why not walk out together? I'm sure it'll make headlines." "It already looks suspicious." "Ah, poor thing. Need a hug?" "No, I need you to leave." Rolling her eyes, she grabbed her bag and exited the restroom, still giggling. She dropped the ticket into her purse and headed down the hallway, completely unaware of the chaos about to unfold. But then, everything spiraled. Voices started buzzing behind her. She turned, and there he was. The guy from the stall. Wearing a baseball cap, trying to adjust it like it made him invisible. A girl nearby gasped. "Wait, isn't that, oh my god, it's Dylan Rivers?" That was enough to ignite mayhem. What was he doing in the women's bathroom? Who's the girl that walked out first? Is she his new girlfriend? Someone pointed directly at Kayla. She froze mid-step. This isn't happening. But it absolutely was. What had started as an ordinary bathroom break was now spiraling into a social media disaster. The women's restroom had become ground zero for scandal. Eyes locked onto her as if she were carrying a neon sign that read guilty. Dylan stood nearby, awkwardly tugging at his cap like it would help him blend in. Which was ridiculous, he was one of the most recognizable pop stars on the planet. A high-pitched scream rang out from across Asteria Hall, and suddenly the corridor exploded with flashing lights and voices yelling his name. "There he is. Snap a photo." "Who's the mystery girl?" Kayla felt her brain short-circuit. "Run," Dylan hissed, grabbing her wrist. What was all she could manage before being yanked into a whirlwind of chaos. He pulled her through the crowd, past screaming fans and curious onlookers, until they burst through a side door into a backstage corridor. Kayla nearly tripped, her boots sliding against the polished floor, but she caught herself at the last second. "Hey," she protested, yanking her hand away. "Who do you think you are? You can't just drag people." Dylan shut the door behind them, breathing hard. "You wanted me to leave you back there?" "Yes," she said, waving her hands. "That way I could have maybe explained that I have nothing to do with you." "Oh yeah? You really think that crowd was going to stop and let you explain calmly?" She crossed her arms. Perfect. Now I'm officially the girl who left the women's bathroom with a famous singer. What a resume boost. Dylan rubbed his forehead, clearly annoyed too. This isn't my fault. You were the one who took your sweet time leaving. Kayla gave him a death glare. Don't you dare pin this on me. You're the one who got lost and ended up in the women's restroom. I was trapped. And I helped you out. They stared at each other, equally irritated and breathless. A knock interrupted them. Dylan? You in there? Dylan's eyes closed like he was praying for patience. Great. Who is it? Kayla whispered. My manager. The door creaked open and a woman in heels and oversized sunglasses entered, followed by a clipboard-carrying assistant. She gave Dylan a sharp look, then turned to Kayla with an expression like a migraine had just entered the room. Tell me there's a perfectly rational explanation for whatever just happened. Kayla took a half step back. Should I start, or do you want to dig your own grave first? She muttered to Dylan. He sighed. It was a misunderstanding. I used the wrong bathroom and how is this girl involved? The manager snapped, pointing at Kayla. Kayla threw up her hands. I just wanted to pee in peace. The manager pinched the bridge of her nose. Fantastic. It's already trending. Kayla's jaw dropped. What? The assistant held up her phone. There it was, a video with thousands of views already. Dylan walking out of the women's bathroom, followed by photos of her stepping out moments before. Headline: Dylan Rivers spotted leaving restroom with unknown woman, new couple alert? Kayla felt her stomach twist into a knot. You've got to be kidding me. Dylan snatched the phone, quickly scanning the comments. Oh, great. Now they think we're secretly dating. I don't even know you. Try telling that to the internet, Kayla muttered. How does it escalate this fast? He asked, throwing the phone back to his manager. The manager exhaled slowly, already calculating damage control. We need to shift the narrative before this becomes a bigger mess. Kayla frowned. And how exactly do you plan to do that? The manager straightened her glasses. You and Dylan can be seen in public casually. Something friendly. If the public sees you two getting along, the scandal softens into something harmless. Kayla crossed her arms. Define friendly. Dinner. At Velvet Ember. You can bring a guest if it makes it easier. She blinked. You want me to go out to dinner with him? She glanced at Dylan, who gave a lazy shrug. But why would I agree to dinner with someone this annoying? Dylan raised an eyebrow. Annoying? You left me to rot in a stall. You were in there for 5 minutes. 5 minutes of personal crisis. Oh please, you've clearly never run out of toilet paper before. Not the point. Enough, the manager snapped. Kayla, are you in or not? Kayla hesitated. Then it hit her. Tessa. Her best friend was obsessed with Dylan Rivers. Her bedroom wall was practically a shrine. She'd cried for a week after missing his last concert tickets. If Kayla turned down this dinner, she might lose best friend status permanently. She sighed. Does the dinner include actual food, or is it just a PR stunt with napkins? The manager gave a tight smile. Real food. Kayla rolled her eyes. Fine. I'll go. But only for the food. And for Tessa. Dylan raised a brow. Really? Don't give me a reason to back out, she warned. The manager nodded. Perfect. Tomorrow night. Velvet Ember. Dress casually, nothing too flashy. Kayla closed her eyes, already regretting everything. What am I getting myself into? Dylan smirked. Welcome to the spotlight, sunshine. She shot him a glare. Oh, it's way too late to back out now. Later that night, Kayla was pacing around her bedroom with the phone pressed to her ear. I'm sorry, what did you just say? Tessa's voice came through, high-pitched and barely holding it together. I said, Kayla repeated with a sigh, I'm having dinner with Dylan Rivers tomorrow night. A shriek exploded on the other end. Kayla yanked the phone away before she lost hearing in one ear. Tessa, control yourself. You're going to sit across from Dylan Rivers at a real restaurant? Kayla dropped onto her bed. Believe me, it's not as glamorous as it sounds. I'd trade organs for that dinner. Okay, well, would you want to come with me? Silence. For exactly 3 seconds. Yes. Yes. 1,000 times yes. Just no, Kayla muttered, he's insufferable. Tessa laughed. And you're a menace. You two are perfect. Shut up. The next evening, they walked into Velvet Ember, a restaurant that screamed too fancy for Kayla's taste. Crystal chandeliers, velvet booths, and waiters dressed like they were about to attend a royal wedding. A server led them to a private table near the back. Tessa looked like she was about to cry from joy. Kayla looked like she was about to ask for the check. This is really happening, Tessa whispered. I'm breathing the same air as Dylan Rivers. Yeah, Kayla muttered. And I'm having dinner with the man who stormed into the women's restroom. Living the dream. You're my hero for this. Cool. Then you can cover my therapy bills afterward. Before Tessa could answer, Dylan arrived. He walked in wearing sunglasses and a beanie, trying to fly under the radar. He looked more like he was avoiding a police chase than coming to dinner. He approached the table and removed his sunglasses. Hope I didn't keep you waiting. Tessa practically beamed. No way. It's an honor to meet you. Kayla, arms crossed, gave him a look. Can't say the same. He gave her a dry look. What a warm welcome. Tessa glanced between them. Okay, you two obviously hate each other. It's not my fault he's a smug rock star, Kayla muttered. And it's not my fault she's the most stubborn person I've ever met, Dylan shot back. Thankfully, the waiter returned before someone got stabbed with a butter knife. May I take your order? Kayla picked up the menu. Yes. I'll have the most expensive thing on here. Dylan raised an eyebrow. Are you serious? You got me into this. I'm going to eat like royalty. Tessa laughed awkwardly. I'll just get something normal, thank you. Dylan sighed and placed his order, shaking his head. Once the waiter left, Kayla and Dylan resumed staring at each other like they were trying to win a blinking contest. Can you at least pretend to enjoy this? He mumbled. I'm only here because Tessa made me come. Yeah, because being treated to a high-end dinner is such torture. Not everything can be bought, Dylan, says the girl who ordered the lobster special. Kayla opened her mouth to reply, but Tessa jumped in. Okay, enough. You two sound like siblings fighting over the front seat. Kayla pointed. He started it. She started it. That's a lie. Are you 12? The waiter reappeared with drinks and everyone went silent, at least momentarily. Once the waiter left, Tessa leaned in toward Dylan, eager. So, what's it like being famous? Do people recognize you everywhere? Dylan smiled politely. Pretty much. Sometimes even in unexpected places. Kayla narrowed her eyes. You had to say that. He smirked. Would have been a crime to skip it. Tessa laughed. Okay, I need to know, what's the weirdest thing a fan has ever done? Dylan thought for a second, then chuckled. There was this one time a fan pretended to be hotel staff and tried sneaking into my suite with a breakfast tray. Kayla blinked. Are you serious? Oh yeah. Almost worked too. Until she tripped and dropped the entire tray. Tessa gasped. That's insane. Dylan turned to Kayla. But hey, at least she didn't bargain for backstage tickets with toilet paper. Kayla tore a piece of bread from the basket and threw it at him. You're never going to drop that, are you? Not a chance. Despite herself, Kayla cracked a smile. The dinner carried on with more back and forth banter, and gradually, the tension between them started to fade. It became less of a fight and more like flirtation. By the time dessert arrived, even Tessa noticed. She leaned toward Kayla and whispered, You're into him. Kayla nearly choked on her spoonful of creme brulee. What? You're smiling while you argue. You're having fun. I hate him. Aha. Across the table, Dylan noticed the two whispering. What's going on? Nothing, Kayla said too quickly. He narrowed his eyes. Suspicious. When the bill came, Dylan reached for it, but Kayla slapped her hand over his. I'll pay. He blinked. Really? Of course not. I just wanted to see your face. Dylan rolled his eyes. You're impossible. And you're spoiled. Tessa burst out laughing. Honestly, this is better than any reality show. Dylan gave Kayla a smug look. At least one person thinks I'm charming. Yeah, well, Kayla said, getting up. Don't let it go to your head. As they exited the restaurant, a few people tried sneaking pictures, but nothing like the chaos of the day before. Dylan slipped his sunglasses back on and turned to Tessa. Pleasure meeting you. The pleasure was definitely mine, she gushed. Then he looked at Kayla. And you try not to ruin my life too often. Kayla crossed her arms. No promises. He laughed and walked toward a black car waiting nearby. Once he was gone, Tessa turned to Kayla with a mischievous grin. You're in so much trouble. What now? You two have rom-com energy. Like enemies to lovers realness. Kayla scoffed. No way. Tessa rolled her eyes. Sure, keep denying it. They walked off down the street, one glowing with excitement, the other already dreading what came next. And Kayla had no idea it was only beginning. Kayla and Tessa walked along the sidewalk outside Velvet Ember, still processing everything. Tessa, of course, couldn't stop smiling. I just had dinner with Dylan Rivers. This feels illegal. Kayla rolled her eyes. It was just dinner. Tessa stopped in her tracks. Just dinner. Girl, you spent the entire night arguing with one of the most famous guys on the planet and now you're pretending it was lunch at a food truck. So what? He's just a guy. Tessa stared at her like she'd grown two heads. You roasted him. You weren't starstruck and you made him laugh. That's not nothing. Kayla huffed. It's still ridiculous. He likes that you don't worship him. Kayla opened her mouth to argue but didn't. Tessa's smirk said it all. And then Tessa's phone buzzed. She glanced at it and gasped. Oh my God. What now? We're going viral. Kayla snatched the phone. On Twitter, photos from dinner were blowing up. Dylan Rivers spotted with mystery girl and a friend, date night or damage control? Who is the girl from the restroom scandal? New couple alert? Kayla's eyes widened in horror. No. Tessa kept scrolling. People are shipping you two already. I need bleach. For my brain. One post had a video of them laughing at the table, captioned. They look so natural together. Maybe it started as fake, but now it's real. Kayla groaned. This is what I get for wanting pasta and peace. Tessa was far from concerned. Honestly, if I didn't know you, I'd say you were into it. Kayla shot her a look. Do I look like I'm enjoying it? You kind of do. No, I'm shutting it down right now. She whipped out her phone and typed furiously. I'm not dating Dylan Rivers. I only agreed to dinner because I was emotionally blackmailed. Please exclude me from your fan theories, thanks. Tessa read over her shoulder. Dramatic. I love it. Kayla hit send. 5 seconds later, a notification popped up. Dylan Rivers liked your tweet. Her stomach dropped. No. And then another one. At Dylan Rivers, blackmailed? You were having a great time. Tessa lost it. He's trolling you in public. I love this man. Kayla clutched her face. Why is this my life? Another ping. A private message. Relax, princess. It'll blow over soon. Kayla stared at the screen, frozen. Princess? Tessa howled. Oh yeah, you're doomed. Kayla furiously started typing a reply until her phone vibrated again. This time, it was a video call. From an unknown number. Who the heck is calling me now? Tessa leaned in. Answer it. Could be important. Kayla hesitated, then tapped accept. A woman in a sleek blazer appeared on screen, looking very official. Miss Monroe. Who's asking? I'm Dylan's team assistant. Kayla groaned. Of course you are. The woman gave a tight smile. We'd like your help, again. To manage the story. Kayla crossed her arms. Let me guess. Another public stunt? Something casual. A coffee at the Mocha Nest. Very low-key. Kayla blinked. Oh sure, because nothing screams normal like a planned coffee date with a global celebrity. Tessa whispered, iconic. You have to go. Kayla gave her a look of betrayal. You're the worst. The assistant cleared her throat. Can we count on you? Kayla sighed. She could fight it, but the internet wasn't letting this go. Fine. But only to kill the rumors. Not because I like the circus. Excellent. We'll schedule it for tomorrow afternoon. The screen went dark. Kayla slumped onto the couch. Tessa beamed. I'm so proud of you. Kayla groaned. I officially hate everyone. The next afternoon, Kayla entered the Mocha Nest, a cozy cafe in downtown Crescent Bay, with exposed brick walls and plants hanging from the ceiling. She spotted Dylan in a corner booth, sipping from a white ceramic mug and scrolling on his phone like he didn't have a care in the world. She crossed her arms. This is ridiculous. He looked up, smirked. Good afternoon to you too. Kayla slid into the booth, her eyes darting around. A few people were clearly trying to snap sneaky photos. You realize we're in the middle of a performance, right? Dylan sipped his coffee. You're the one who agreed, because your entire team pressured me into it. He chuckled. Relax. We just have to sit here and pretend we're having a great time for like half an hour. She gave him a blank stare. This is your idea of fun? Dylan leaned forward. You really hate me that much? Kayla tilted her head. I don't hate you. I tolerate you. In small, homeopathic doses. He laughed. Wow. That's the nicest thing you've said to me. Don't get used to it. He leaned back, still smiling. I like a challenge. Kayla shivered and looked away, pretending to stir her latte. Dylan watched her. What's the deal with you and coffee anyway? You've been poking the cup like it insulted your family. My problem isn't with the drink. It's with this whole circus, she muttered. You could have said no. I tried. Your people didn't give me much of a choice. Dylan shrugged. Look, just pretend you're enjoying yourself. You've got sarcasm down, now try looking social. She gave him the fakest smile imaginable. Wow. You're so hilarious. Thank you, he said, completely unbothered. I rehearse in the mirror every morning. She rolled her eyes and took a sip of her drink. A beat of silence passed between them, surprisingly comfortable. Then she asked, okay, genius. What's phase 2 of this brilliant PR plan? Simple, he said. We smile. We chat. We act normal. Kayla raised an eyebrow. Normal people don't rehearse coffee dates to convince the internet they're not faking a relationship. I never claimed to be normal, Dylan replied, grinning. Kayla huffed. You're a magnet for chaos. And you're addicted to pretending you don't care, he shot back. They locked eyes for a moment. Kayla was about to fire back when someone walked up to their table. A tall brunette in an expensive coat and designer heels. Dylan, she said sweetly, though her eyes were sharp. Kayla blinked. Who's this? The woman ignored her. What a coincidence seeing you here. Dylan's face went tight. Hey, Sienna. Kayla stiffened. Oh, this was the infamous ex. Sienna slid into their booth without asking, her perfume overwhelming. I heard about the little scandal. Quite the talk of the town. Kayla gave a tight smile. Hi. I'm right here, in case you're wondering. Sienna glanced at her as if examining a knockoff handbag. Oh, sorry. I thought you were his assistant or something. Kayla raised a brow. Wow, your subtle shade is impressive. Dylan coughed to cover a laugh. Sienna leaned closer to Dylan. So how are you planning to spin this one? It was a misunderstanding, he said. Of course, she replied, oozing disbelief. Funny how things always happen by accident with you. Kayla narrowed her eyes. Let me guess, you're his ex-girlfriend/ex-manager? Sienna gave a fake smile. Sweetheart, I'm much more than that. Dylan groaned. You're a migraine in heels. Kayla nodded. Finally, something we agree on. Sienna stood, brushing imaginary dust off her coat. Enjoy the rest of your little publicity stunt. She gave Kayla one last scathing look. Let's see how long it lasts. Then she walked away like a supervillain in heels. Kayla turned to Dylan. What the hell was that? He sighed. Long story. I've got time. She was my manager. And yeah, we dated. Not my proudest chapter. She's not over it. Nope. Kayla crossed her arms. Well, at least now we've got something in common. Dylan glanced at her. What's that? I don't like her either. He chuckled, genuinely this time. Good. That makes two of us. They finished their coffee in a strange new atmosphere, no more forced smiles, no more sarcastic jabs, well, fewer of them. It felt like something had shifted. But peace didn't last long. The moment they stepped out of the mocha nest, chaos exploded. Flashes. Shouts. Dozens of paparazzi waited outside. Dylan, look this way. Is that your girlfriend? Are you replacing Sienna? Kayla shielded her face, disoriented. What's happening? Dylan calmly slipped on his sunglasses. Welcome to my world. She glared at him. I want a refund. No returns, he grinned, grabbing her arm to guide her down the street. Seriously? I'm being hunted like a raccoon in daylight. Relax. Walk like we planned this. She scoffed. This is not normal. I don't do the whole flashbulb and scandal lifestyle. Dylan just kept walking like he was born for this. You're doing fine. But the reporters weren't backing off. Dylan, did you cheat on Sienna with her? Kayla stopped in her tracks. Excuse me? The camera shutters intensified, catching her shocked reaction from every angle. Dylan winced. Yeah. That's exactly what they wanted. And what was I supposed to do? Smile and wave while they call me a homewrecker? Honestly? Yeah. Kayla let out a noise somewhere between a groan and a scream. She pulled out her phone and started typing furiously. Just to clarify, no, I'm not dating Dylan Rivers. No, I didn't steal anyone from anyone. No, I don't even want more coffee. Goodbye. She hit send and shoved the phone back in her pocket. Dylan peeked at the screen. Great. Now the tabloids are going to call you the angry girlfriend. I wasn't his girlfriend to begin with. Details, he said with a shrug. Tell me there's a car. There is. He led her to a black SUV waiting at the corner. The moment she slammed the door shut, she collapsed into the seat with a dramatic groan. I hate you. You don't. Kayla closed her eyes, breathing in and out. Her head throbbed, her heart was racing, and her sanity felt like it was on life support. Dylan tapped his phone quietly. After a minute, he glanced at her. Have you ever actually been to one of my concerts? She opened one eye. Was I unclear earlier when I said I'm not your fan? He smirked. Right? But your friend is. Kayla narrowed her eyes. What are you plotting? Just a little thank you for all the chaos I've dragged you through. He held up his phone. VIP tickets. Tomorrow night. For you and Tessa. Kayla blinked. Wait, really? No tricks. Just a nice gesture. She studied him. You expect me to believe you're being generous out of the goodness of your heart? I expect your friend to pressure you into going. Kayla bit her lip. He wasn't wrong. Fine, she muttered. But don't expect me to sing along. Dylan smiled. Wouldn't dream of it. The next evening, Kayla stood in front of her mirror, tugging at the outfit Tessa had forced her into. I still don't know why I'm going. Tessa popped her head in, already dressed in full fangirl glam. Because I made you. Kayla scowled. Remind me to never let you make decisions again. Tessa didn't even flinch. We have VIP access to a Dylan Rivers concert. You're basically famous now. Embrace it. Kayla huffed. I feel like I'm walking into a trap. Tessa held up her phone. Actually, he just posted on Insta. Kayla peeked at the screen. Tonight's show will be unforgettable. Wonder who'll be watching eyes. She squinted. That's directed at me, isn't it? Obviously. Kayla muttered something under her breath, grabbed her bag, and followed Tessa out the door. They arrived at the Horizon Arena, a massive stadium already buzzing with thousands of excited fans. Security escorted them to the velvet rope VIP section, front row. Kayla could feel the curious glances. I swear, if someone throws popcorn at me, I'm leaving. Tessa couldn't stop grinning. I still can't believe I'm here. Yeah, me neither. But for different reasons. The lights dimmed. The crowd screamed. Then Dylan walked on stage. Kayla had to admit it, he was a performer. He knew how to work a crowd. His energy was electric, the sound thunderous, and when he sang, it hit different. He grabbed the mic. How's Crescent Bay doing tonight? The stadium exploded in cheers. Kayla folded her arms. Feels like a summoning ritual. Tessa slapped her shoulder. Shut up and enjoy the miracle. Halfway through the show, Dylan paused. I want to thank everyone who came tonight, he said, but especially someone in the VIP section. Kayla froze. No. He grinned and looked straight at her. I have a feeling someone's been judging me silently all night. The crowd laughed. No. Tessa squealed. He's talking about you. Dylan winked from the stage. But it's okay, because now she's officially at one of my shows. The arena roared with laughter and applause. Kayla wanted to sink into the floor. What do I do? Respond? Smile? Scream? And then, on pure adrenaline and panic, she raised her hand. And flipped him off. The crowd lost it. Dylan burst into laughter mid-song. She's got personality, I'll give her that. Tessa looked like she was going to faint. You're a legend. Kayla buried her face in her hands. This isn't happening. But it was. Every time Dylan passed by the VIP section, he smirked at her. He winked. He even threw her a guitar pick at one point. And despite every ounce of logic in her brain, Kayla couldn't stop smiling. After the final song, the arena was still buzzing with energy. Fans were screaming, lights were flashing, and Tessa was basically levitating. That was epic. I'll never recover. Kayla, on the other hand, was spiraling. Great. I just became live entertainment. You were live entertainment, Tessa grinned. You made the entire stadium laugh. I flipped him off in front of 20,000 people. And you owned it. As they were escorted to the VIP exit, Kayla just wanted to disappear. But fate had other plans. A woman in a sleek black suit intercepted them near the corridor. Miss Monroe. Kayla blinked. If this is a lawsuit, I plead insanity. The woman smirked. Actually, Dylan would like to see you in his dressing room. Tessa let out a strangled squeal. Now? Kayla asked, eyes wide. Yes. He insisted. Tessa grabbed Kayla's arms. Go. Now. I will wait here and scream into a wall. Kayla sighed, trying to summon inner peace. Let's get this over with. The assistant led her through a maze of backstage halls until they reached a door labeled DR. She took a deep breath and stepped inside. Dylan was sitting on the couch, towel around his neck, hair still damp with sweat, drinking water. He grinned when he saw her. Ah, the star of the night has arrived. Kayla crossed her arms. If I'm the star, then you must be dying of jealousy. Dylan laughed. You've got guts. I'll give you that. You humiliated me in front of thousands of people. Technically, you humiliated me first. Kayla pointed at him. That was revenge for dinner. Fair enough. She narrowed her eyes. This is harassment. You loved it. I did not. You did. No. You smiled. She opened her mouth to deny it, but she couldn't. Instead, she sighed and sank onto the armrest of a nearby chair. Why am I here? Dylan tossed his towel aside. To thank you. Kayla raised an eyebrow. For what? For making this the most talked about concert of the year. She groaned. Awesome. Now my life is just one big meme. You're great at it. I don't want to be great at it. He studied her for a moment, suddenly serious. What if we didn't stop? Kayla blinked. Stop what? This whole thing. The fake relationship. What if we kept going? Her jaw dropped. You're insane. He stood and crossed the room toward her. The media already believes it. Why not use it? For what? Your next album. He held up his phone and showed her a headline. Dylan Rivers' new mystery girl, attitude, charm, and zero tolerance for BS. Kayla frowned. This feels like a trap. Or an opportunity. She stared at him. She should walk out. She should say no. But instead, her brain screamed, if I'm going to be part of the circus, I might as well run the show. Kayla sighed. I'm an idiot. He smiled. So, that's a yes? She glared. If I end up hunted by your fanbase, it's on you. Dylan extended his hand. Deal? Kayla looked at his hand. Looked at his face. And then shook it. Deal. He grinned. Fantastic. Welcome to the madness. Kayla groaned. I already regret this. The moment their hands let go, Dylan grabbed his phone and opened the camera. Kayla's eyes narrowed. What are you doing? He stepped beside her. We need proof, don't we? For the fans. For the story. Oh no. No. Smile. I'd rather eat sand. Click. Too late. The camera snapped the shot before she could bolt. Kayla lunged for the phone. Delete it. Nope. He started typing a caption with a smirk. This is how legends are made. Dylan. I swear but it was already posted. On his official account. A photo of them standing side by side, Kayla clearly mid-eye roll, Dylan grinning like he just won the lottery. Caption. We clean up well, don't we? Dizzy hashtag not so fake after all. Kayla stared in horror. Tessa's message arrived 3 seconds later. What did you do? By morning, the internet had exploded. Comments flooded in. Wait, they're actually cute together? I thought it was fake, but now I don't know anymore. That girl looks like she could actually keep him in check. Give her a crown already, she flipped him off on stage and now she's dating him? Icon. Kayla groaned and tossed her phone onto the couch. Tessa, meanwhile, was hysterical. You're famous. I'm doomed. There's even fan art of you two already. Kayla buried her face in a pillow. I hate this planet. And then her phone rang. She grabbed it. Dylan. Don't tell me you're enjoying this. Oh, I'm loving it, he said cheerfully. Did you see the edit of you photoshopped into my album cover? I want to scream. We have dinner tonight. She froze. Excuse me. Big event. Industry people. Happy couple must attend. Nope. Not happening. I'll send you a dress. Pick you up at 8. You don't own me, Rivers. Fake girlfriend clause. You signed it with a handshake, remember? She growled. I'm going to strangle you with that handshake. See you at 8, he said and hung up. Kayla stared at the phone like she could melt it with rage. Tessa was already doing a happy dance. Dinner with Dylan. A dress. A car. You're basically a romance novel. Kayla muttered, more like a horror story. But even she knew there was no way out now. The dress arrived in a black box with silver ribbon. Kayla held it up and groaned. Does he want me to look like a Disney princess? Tessa peeked in. Well, you kind of do. He's more of an arrogant frog than a prince. But deep down, Kayla felt her nerves twist. She had never worn anything this elegant. The silk shimmered like moonlight. The heels were too high. Her confidence? Questionable. The intercom buzzed. Tessa grinned. It's now or never. Kayla sighed. I can still climb out the window. Or you can slay. She grabbed her purse and headed out. Outside, Dylan was waiting by a sleek black car in a tailored charcoal suit, looking irritatingly flawless. He whistled when he saw her. Wow. Almost looks like you like me. Kayla raised an eyebrow. Be careful. Your ego's peeking out. He smirked and opened the door for her. Shall we go fake our love for an evening? She got in. If I survive, I'll let you know. They pulled up to Elan Verde, one of Crescent Bay's most exclusive restaurants. Paparazzi were already swarming the entrance. Kayla's pulse spiked. Are you sure this will work? Dylan reached for her hand. Just act like you adore me. Kayla rolled her eyes, but when the car door opened and flashes exploded, she forced a dazzling smile and let him guide her out. Shouts came from every direction. Dylan, how did this romance begin? Kayla, is it true you knew each other since childhood? When's the wedding? Kayla leaned into Dylan's shoulder. This is insane. He whispered back. Relax, princess. The real madness starts inside. They entered the restaurant and Kayla immediately felt out of place. Crystal chandeliers, velvet drapes, gold-rimmed wine glasses, it screamed money. At the reserved table sat a circle of polished people in designer suits. Dylan introduced her smoothly. Everyone, this is Kayla Monroe. Someone smiled. Ah, the new girlfriend. Kayla raised her glass. The latest victim. There was a moment of silence, then laughter. Dylan looked proud. Dinner progressed with polite questions and slightly too curious stares. Kayla kept her answers sharp, witty, and just vague enough to seem like she was playing the game. Then the doors opened. A blonde woman entered, radiant and poised like she owned the place. Dylan froze. Kayla's spine stiffened. Who's that? He sighed. Sabrina. Oh no, she whispered. The ex-girlfriend and ex-publicist. Sabrina glided up to their table like a queen entering her court. Dylan, she said coolly. Sabrina, he replied, tone clipped. Then her eyes slid to Kayla. So, this is the new project? Kayla smiled sweetly. Nice to meet you. I'd say I've heard of you, but Dylan never talks about the past. Dylan bit back a laugh. Sabrina's smile didn't reach her eyes. Funny. It almost looks like you've known each other for years. Sometimes chemistry doesn't need years, Kayla said, leaning in toward Dylan and lacing their fingers. The entire table went, oh. Sabrina's eyes narrowed. Are you sure you're not just another distraction? Kayla tilted her head. If I am, at least I'm a fun one. Dylan finally stepped in. Sabrina, we're in the middle of dinner. She cast Kayla one last icy look. Enjoy it while it lasts. And she was gone. Kayla exhaled and took a sip of wine. Well, that was charming. Dylan turned to her, eyebrows raised. You're dangerous. She smirked. You're the one who dragged me into this. Now deal with it. When they stepped out of Elan Verde, the flashes hit them like a lightning storm. Dylan, did Sabrina try to get you back? Kayla, how do you feel being compared to the ex? Is this a love triangle? Kayla stopped right in front of the cameras, looking at the reporters like she was hosting her own scandalous talk show. Guys, she said with a dazzling smile. Can we please focus on the real headline here? Microphones leaned closer. Silence fell. Kayla paused dramatically. The food was amazing. Boom. Dylan stifled a laugh. Cameras fired like crazy. The reporters exchanged looks. Her comeback had just gone viral. They got into the car. Dylan was still laughing like a maniac. You're a nightmare for the media. Thank you, she replied smugly. He turned to her, studying her face. You don't get nervous, do you? She shrugged. I grew up with two older brothers. This is amateur hour. Dylan grinned. I really did hit the jackpot. She glanced sideways. This isn't a jackpot, Dylan. It's a controlled explosion. He laughed. Let's see how long we can control it. Kayla sank into the car seat next to Dylan, releasing a long, exhausted sigh. The dinner had been a mental marathon, but somehow, she had survived. Dylan was still grinning to himself, clearly enjoying every second of the chaos. What now? She asked, arms crossed. He leaned back, resting his elbow on the seat behind her. You really aren't scared of anything, huh? I'm scared of flying cockroaches and overdue bills. Other than that, I'm fine. He laughed. Weren't you even a little shaken by Sabrina showing up? Kayla shrugged. Why? She's your past. I'm your peer crisis. He looked at her like he was trying to solve a riddle only she had the answer to. Why are you staring at me? She asked, suspicious. Just trying to understand you. Good luck. I barely understand myself. He smiled and leaned back in his seat again. You could be an actress. I prefer reality, thanks. The driver pulled out onto the glowing streets of Crescent Bay, the city lights painting fleeting shadows across the windows. Kayla leaned her head against the glass. I need a vacation. Oh no, princess, Dylan said with a mischievous smile. Our show's just getting started. She turned her head toward him. What does that mean? He lifted his phone and showed her the latest headlines. Dylan Rivers and his new girlfriend face off with ex, tension sparks. Kayla Monroe dominates the spotlight with fiery comebacks. Internet divided. Is Kayla a queen or a PR stunt? Kayla's eyes widened. You've got to be kidding me. You're officially famous, he said proudly. She started scrolling through the comments. Some were hilarious. Some were harsh. Some oddly supportive. People are nuts. You haven't seen anything yet. She tossed the phone back at him. I want to disappear. Too late. You're officially my favorite headline. She snorted. This all started because of a stupid toilet paper incident. What kind of cosmic punishment is this? You saved me that day, remember? He said with a shrug. And now the world thinks we're in love. She rolled her eyes. And that doesn't bother you? Not really. Kayla looked at him, stunned. He stared out the window. We need to keep building the story. Her stomach twisted. What exactly does that mean? He turned toward her with that familiar glint in his eye. We're going to have to spend more time together. She exhaled sharply. I knew I'd regret this. The car pulled up in front of her apartment building. She looked at the door, then at him. If anyone asks, we're madly in love, she muttered. Hopelessly, he replied with a smirk. She stepped out, slamming the door behind her. Before heading inside, she glanced back. Dylan was still in the car, watching her. And that look in his eyes? It didn't feel fake at all. Kayla tossed her purse onto the couch and collapsed beside it. Her phone buzzed on the table, but she ignored it. Not tonight. Her brain was fried. Tessa walked into the living room holding her own phone, eyes wide. You're on TV? Kayla groaned. Let me know when it's time to announce my escape from the country. But Tessa turned up the volume. On screen, footage from the dinner. Kayla and Dylan leaving the restaurant together, smiling like a perfect couple. This girl came out of nowhere and now she's stealing the spotlight. Is this relationship real? Kayla rubbed her temples. People really have nothing better to do. Tessa, on the other hand, was glowing. You're living the dream. My dream involves coffee and silence. This is a circus. Her phone vibrated. A text from Dylan. Ready for our next date? She stared at the screen. Oh no. Tessa peeked over. Oh yes. What did he say? He wants another public appearance. Tessa clapped like a kid on Christmas. This is getting real. Kayla grabbed her shoulders. Focus. This is fake. All of it. Then why do you look nervous? Because I don't enjoy being humiliated in front of the internet, thank you very much. Tessa smirked. Sure. That's definitely the only reason. Kayla huffed, knowing she couldn't win. A few hours later, they arrived at Crescent Park, one of the city's most scenic spots. The place looked peaceful except for the subtle flashes coming from the bushes. Paparazzi. Hiding, waiting. Kayla whispered, this is ridiculous. Pretend we're madly in love, Dylan replied, grabbing her hand. She gave him a look. Okay, my sweet soy latte. He chuckled and leaned closer. Good start. They sat on a bench, their hands still linked. Kayla sighed. You having fun? Like I'm getting a root canal, he said cheerfully. She laughed despite herself. You were born for this attention. And you were born to roast me. Glad we both found our purposes. But then he stopped laughing. His expression shifted, softening, studying her face like it was something fragile and unfamiliar. What? She asked. Nothing. That didn't look like nothing. He looked away, suddenly unsure. I think this is going too far. She held her breath. You want to stop? He looked back at her, eyes conflicted. I don't know. And for the first time. She didn't either. Kayla couldn't sleep. She kept replaying the way Dylan had looked at her like she was no longer part of a PR stunt but part of something else. She hated how that made her feel. She tossed, turned, stared at the ceiling. Across town, Dylan was wide awake too. Since the park, something had shifted. The tension between them wasn't just playful anymore. It felt real. Dangerous. Like walking a tightrope with no net. At 2 a.m. Kayla finally gave up and went to the kitchen for water. She was wearing a hoodie, her hair in a messy bun, just trying to reset her brain. Then, a knock at the door. She froze. Tessa, if you forgot your keys again. But when she opened it, it wasn't Tessa. It was Dylan. Soaked. Hair dripping. Shirt clinging to him. Shoes squeaking. Kayla blinked. What the did you walk here in the rain? I needed to think. And apparently get hypothermia while you were at it? He shrugged. You talk too much. You're dripping on my floor. He didn't say anything. Just stepped forward. And before she could stop him, he cupped her face in both hands. And kissed her. It wasn't soft. It wasn't shy. It was like every ounce of frustration, tension, and sarcasm had exploded into something electric. Kayla should have pulled away. But she didn't. She kissed him back. When they finally stopped, both breathless, she whispered, damn. He gave a crooked smile. What? She rested her forehead against his. I like you. He smiled. Good. Because I like you too. After that night, everything changed. There was no more pretending. No more acting like a couple. Because now they were one. Dylan started picking Kayla up from work. She began showing up at his rehearsals, sneaking in with coffee and teasing him from the wings. They bickered like always, but now it ended with a kiss instead of an eye roll. And the kisses? They were no joke. Everything felt so easy. So unplanned. So, right. Kayla never wanted to be the fairy tale type, but somehow this felt like she was living one. Until one night, Dylan invited her to dinner. Nothing fancy, just the two of them at a quiet restaurant in downtown Crescent Bay. The lighting was low, the music soft, the wine perfectly chilled. She didn't suspect anything. Not until he got down on one knee. Kayla nearly knocked over her glass. "What are you doing?" Dylan smiled. "I think it's obvious." The entire room quieted. Kayla stared at him, panicked. "If this is another PR stunt, I swear." "It's not," he said, cutting her off. Then he pulled out the ring. It sparkled like it knew this was the final plot twist in their absurd story. He looked into her eyes. "Kayla, I never planned to fall for you. But it's the best thing that's ever happened to me." Her chest tightened. Her fingers trembled. "Will you marry me?" She blinked. "Are you being serious right now?" "More serious than I've ever been." Kayla let out a shaky laugh. "I can't believe this is happening." "I didn't believe it either," he whispered, "but here we are." She looked at him, truly looked at him. And for once, there was no crowd, no cameras, no pretending. Only him. Only her. And her answer? Yes. The restaurant exploded into applause. Dylan stood and kissed her like the entire world had disappeared. Because for them, it had. The wedding was the event of the year. Every magazine, gossip blog, and entertainment channel had a headline. From toilet paper to true love, Dylan Rivers marries Kayla Monroe. The PR stunt that wasn't inside the wedding of Crescent Bay's most unlikely couple. He fell for the girl who made him beg in a bathroom. Iconic. But for Kayla and Dylan, none of that mattered. What mattered was the moment. Dylan stood at the altar, hands folded, looking both nervous and stupidly in love. He tugged at the sleeve of his suit like it itched, but his eyes never left the aisle. And then, there she was. Kayla in white. Her hair soft, makeup barely there, but her eyes? Fierce. Sharp. Beautiful. She tried not to trip on the way down the aisle, classic Kayla, and he grinned like he'd never seen anything better in his life. When she finally reached him, he whispered, "You look like a problem." She smirked. "You look like a lifetime of bad decisions. Can't wait to make all of them with you." The guests chuckled. The officiant cleared his throat. "We'll begin." Dylan turned to her and held her hands. "I never knew what luck was until I met you," he said, voice steady. Kayla smiled. "I never knew what chaos was until I met you." He laughed. "Fair." She squeezed his fingers. "But I love this chaos. I love you." The judge smiled. "Dylan, do you take Kayla as your wife?" "Absolutely." "And Kayla?" She looked at Dylan, her heart racing. "Of course. I now pronounce you husband and wife." Dylan didn't wait. He kissed her like it was the first time and the last time all at once. The room erupted in cheers. Cameras flashed. People cried. But they barely noticed. Because for them, there was no audience anymore. Just two idiots who accidentally fell in love and got everything they never knew they needed. Because sometimes fate doesn't come dressed in perfection. Sometimes it shows up in the wrong bathroom without toilet paper. And still manages to give you the love of your life.